All right, time machine's here. Come on, let's go. Where? To Disneyland. Duh. You know, pre-closures, before they ruined Tomorrowland. Yeah, we can go check out all those good old Disneyland rides that aren't around anymore in the year that is 2020. So come on, let's go. You know what, we're gonna go back in this lovely real-time machine here. It has some nice swiveling action. And we're gonna look at the top 5 best defunct Disneyland attractions. So buckle up and keep your dirty little hands in the time machine. Let's go. That was a good intro, I think. That was a gem. Well, let's hop right into it before they close down an amazing ride and I have to redo the whole list. Starting with number 5, the Disneyland Skyway, or the Skyway buckets, as a lot of people call them. This ride was opened from 1956 to 1994, and it was both a method of transportation and a ride, which made it just look fun and practical, going through the sky. It took riders in gondolas from Tomorrowland to Fantasyland, or Fantasyland to Tomorrowland. The ride had 2 queues, which means the queue goes twice as fast if I did my math right. In 1957, after just over a year of being open, the Skyway buckets were completely shut down because Walt wanted to build his recreation of the Matterhorn Mountain right in the path of the Skyway buckets. But instead of just leaving them closed forever, they built the Matterhorn around the cable track so the Skyway buckets would be even cooler than they were, taking riders directly through the heart of the Matterhorn, going in both directions. In 1994, the attraction was sadly shut down. They cite the reason as being cracks in some of the pylons within the Matterhorn, making it a little unsafe, too costly to repair. Other people theorize there's just too many stupid riders, spitting and throwing coins and stuff off the buckets. But they did kind of get a revival over in Walt Disney World. The Magic Kingdom now has an amazing colossal version of the Skyway to take riders from different hotels to different parks and whatnot, but it's just not the same as the Skyway buckets. I would absolutely love to go back in time and see a view of Disneyland from the sky. It might mess up some modern day sightlines. Disney's really careful with sightlines, but that's a view you can't get in Disneyland. You can't see Fantasyland and Tomorrowland from above, and I really wish you could. But that's why it's on this list. Number 5, the Skyway buckets, defunct, gone attraction that you can't ride anymore. So I can't ride it either. In fact, I've never been on any of the rides on this list, so this is just just me sharing things that I know nothing about. Number 4 on this list of the best defunct Disneyland rides is the original Submarine Voyage, opened from 1959 to 1998. Technically, I could have gone on this one when I was like 1 or less years old. I'd have to ask my parents. I don't think I ever did. But anyways, I debated putting this on the list at all because, let's be honest, the submarines are terrible ride vehicles. I haven't been on the original Submarine Voyage as far as I know, but I have been on the Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage, and it is uncomfortable, it's cramped, it's stuffy, and the ride is long, and it just feels claustrophobic and not so good to be on. But even that considered, this ride, the original Submarine Voyage, was thematically cool enough, immersive enough to have me disregard the uncomfortableness of the subs. This ride still looked awesome. Like I said, it opened in 1959. It was part of the first of many major Tomorrowland rethemings and enhancements, and Tomorrowland hasn't changed recently, but it had a history of changing frequently. The subs took riders through a tropical reef with animatronics of wildlife. There was a brief period of time where mermaid actors were paid to swim around in the lagoon. Didn't last long, but it would have been cool to see. It's a cool piece of Disney history. And then the subs dove deeper using the same effects they do today on Nemo with the bubbles going up through the porthole. Took riders down into a ship graveyard and then through some polar ice caps past a glacier and to the bottom of the sea, passing the lost city of Atlantis. The ride was filled with just a classic Disney Imagineering that was just a staple of its time. When Imagineers would take a concept, something like a Haunted Mansion, something like Pirates, something like a Voyage in a Submarine, and just make a story out of it, just theming like crazy. Very, very cool animatronics, like crazy, doing it all underwater, because why not? It is a classic example of Disney Imagineering, which is why it's so captivating to me, though I do have to admit, especially for those of you who are afraid of underwater animatronics, I know it's a thing, but even for me personally, who's not, the ride looks a little creepy. Something about just the things being underwater is a little unsettling, I do get that. But creepiness aside, still looks very cool. I would love to go back in time and ride it in circles. Despite the cramped submarines, I want to check it out, and I never will, so that's a good thought. Number 3 is, believe it or not, yet another defunct Tomorrowland attraction. Adventure Through Inner Space was opened from 1967 to 1985, and it was another brilliant example, just like Submarine Voyage, of that classic Disney Imagineering, sending riders into a world that is completely original but very immersive. And something really captivating to me about Adventure Through Inner Space is the way it feels like it would have been an Epcot Future World opening day attraction. This ride really blended some form of weird education with some form of weird rider experience and entertainment, and it just fused perfectly. And yes, it dated quickly like a lot of Future World and Epcot did, but I love that. I feel like Disney parks, Epcot included, are totally going away from any educational aspect to rides, which is fine. They are, you know, they know their clientele. They know that that's not a thing people really enjoy anymore. But let me just describe to you what made Adventure Through Inner Space so weird and such a cool ride. It was an omni mover like Haunted Mansion or Little Mermaid. You sit in a car that just moves, a little 2-3 person vehicle that just goes, and it shrunk riders down through a microscope thingy to the size of an atom, which just that picture of the telescope with the little rider decoys that look tiny is a wonderful effect, a very simple but very cool effect. The ride itself was weird. You ride through, and a scientist is narrating the whole thing as if he's you, kind of, and he's the first scientist to ever get shrunken down like this, and so he's narrating what you're seeing. And what you're seeing, you shrink down and see a big ol' snowflake, because now you're the size of smaller than a snowflake, and then you shrink down farther and see the water molecules that are all in form, the H2O molecules, and then you shrink down even farther to the size of an atom, and then even farther to see the electrons zooming around you. Super bizarre, super random. I see why Disney did away with it, because what the heck, before you're growing up to size, but it looked really cool. Just so original, so Disney, so immersive, and I always like to play with the idea. I know they never will, because this ride is so random, but if they remade this ride today with modern technology and Imagineers had all their current technology and resources at their disposal, it would be really, really, really cool to see what they could do. But Adventure Through Inner Space, an awesome attraction, a weird piece of Disney history that just delights me. It's sad to see any dark ride especially go away. I don't know what it is, but it's gone now. I believe Star Tours is where that used to be, and Star Tours, it's time for Star Tours to go, because Star Wars Land is open. Come on, Disney. Bring back Adventure Through Inner Space. Number 2, I'm sure y'all knew this one was gonna be on the list, though you might have expected it to be number 1. Another Tomorrowland attraction, the People Mover, opened from 1967 to 1995. Originally, the People Mover was a prototype concept for a new form of mass transit for cities of the future. It was when Walt was in that phase of really wanting to design a better future for cities, a better way to have a metropolitan area, and the People Mover was a piece of that concept. The ride was a scenic and relaxing 16-minute tour of Tomorrowland, always moving vehicles, kind of like an omni mover, but a little different, as you could see by these lovely visuals. But you would hop on in the People Mover and it would take you all around Tomorrowland. It would take you into some of the buildings, into some of the rides you could see, and out over the lagoon, past around Autopia. A beautiful, relaxing, scenic, lovely ride. which they took out, again, to replace with more thrilling attraction, as Disney does and did a lot of historically. Tried to put in the rocket rods. If you know anything about the rocket rods, they didn't last long, and the tracks have been haunting Tomorrowland ever since. My biggest complaint with current day Tomorrowland is those people mover tracks. But I would love to see the people mover in operation. I would love to ride it. I've ridden the one over at the Magic Kingdom. The Magic Kingdom in Florida does still have the Tomorrowland Transit Authority people mover. But it is a slightly worse version from what I understand. It's 10 minutes instead of 16 minutes. It's all flat at one elevation, whereas the Disneyland one actually did have some elevation changes, and it looked real dang cool. So that is number 2 on the list. I would love to see it again. Back in a time when Disney was actually trying to see the future with Tomorrowland, you know, like forecast or show a better future in Tomorrowland instead of Star Wars and Buzz Lightyear. And I am not salty at all about Tomorrowland. I would never rant about Tomorrowland. No, it's really, it's cool. Let's go on to number 1. Yes, every ride so far was from the glory days of Tomorrowland, but number 1 is not from Tomorrowland. In fact, it's from Frontierland. Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland was opened from 1956 to 1977, and this was the ride. This was the classic Disney experience, and it shut down to make way for Big Thunder Mountain, so I can't be too angry about the closure of this particular ride because I do love Big Thunder. But let's get into what made Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland so cool. It was a relaxing train ride tour through the beauty, through the majesty of the frontier and the desert, in an area of Frontierland known as the Living Desert. And you might see a trend with some of these rides, just like the People Mover, kind of like the Skyway buckets. I love the Disney rides that are long, where you can just sit and just enjoy an experience for a while. Yes, I love the thrill rides as much as the next guy, don't get me wrong, but Disney is at its best sometimes. Disney does good taking it slow, okay? And this ride was perfect for all ages, for everyone of every age, no matter what, they would love this ride. I'm positive about that. And after a long day doing anything, literally anything else in Disneyland, sitting down on this train ride would have been a delight. It took riders through the wilderness, passing crazy cactuses, passing a bunch of animatronics, in between tumbling boulders, and into the supposedly mind-blowingly beautiful rainbow caverns. There's an homage to these caverns in Big Thunder Mountain up that first lift with all the bats and the rainbow pools. But the original rainbow caverns, it's almost like Disney legend now, because people who saw this attraction will tell you how incredibly breathtaking and beautiful these caverns were. Like I said, it just seems so quintessentially Disney. Something about this ride, the immersion, the theming, the attention to detail, and also the topic being on nothing in particular, just exploring through the desert, is so classic Disneyland, so delightful, a tiny bit educational, but relaxing and immersive. And again, fun for people of any age. And also this ride was supposedly, and from what I have seen in the audio I've heard, kind of funny, had some jokes thrown in. It was at an era where Walt was waking up to the fact that his rides don't need to be purely educational. You know, Jungle Cruise shifting from an educational ride to honestly a comedy ride. And so Walt saw the appeal of that and that could be good. And he intentionally asked Mark Davis to make Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland funny in some way. And so he did that, just adding to the charm of this classic Disney attraction. I would love to go back in time and see Mine Train Through Natureland. Well, I said that wrong, but I would love to go back in time and see it. I would love to go back in time and see all the rides on this list. But all we have to go off of is the memory of those who have, the photographs that exist, and the hearsay. And I'm sure the more I talk about these rides and think about them, the better they will seem in my mind. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I do know that I would love to see them. So I did, as I said at the start of the video, develop a time machine here. You know I don't know how to end videos very well, so I'm just gonna leave you with this. Have a good one. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you wanna hit the buttons and do the things, I would greatly appreciate it. New Disneylanders will be coming, and I will be headed back in time now. So thanks guys, see you later. This is not me getting ready to scoot off the scene. This is me getting ready to fade out.